Everything is just better with a good bottle of wine and great friends. Welcome to Wives Winedown Wednesday, the weekly podcast where three ladies split a bottle of wine, or two, and joke about the absurdity of life.
Welcome to another Wives Winedown Wednesday. I'm Angela.
I'm Lauren.
I'm Mitzi.
And we have a special guest today I'm excited about, Dr. Christine Greves, and she's an OBGYN here in the Orlando, Florida area. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yay.
Yes, welcome.
But before we ask you some interesting questions, we're going to open the wine, and normally Mitzi opens the wine, but she can't today because she hurt her arm. We'll find out how later. Dr. Christine has volunteered to open the wine today.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing that.
Sure.
Let's see how this goes. And then Lauren's going to describe the wine. What is it, by the way? It's a Hess Select.
Hess Select Cabernet.
Oh, I love cabs.
Ooh. Go ahead and tell us about it while she's... Can you get it open?
Struggling.
It's her first time.
You might have to screw it down somewhere.
Okay, screw
Hold on.
There you
Screw
go.
it down somewhere.
I was
Go
waiting for
ahead,
the
Lauren.
pop.
I have
Okay.
the lazy one, so
That's
this
all right.
one's not lazy.
Okay, so
there
it
we go.
features grapes from some of the best vineyards in Napa
got it.
and Lake County that showcases a medium-bodied, ruby-colored wine with aromas red raspberry and dark cherry and flavors of red raspberry, black
Ooh.
cherry, followed with spicy notes of currants, anise, cloves, cedar, and a touch of vanilla.
Wow.
It tastes like a Cabernet should.
It's got a lot of good stuff in there.
And this was
So
actually...
she's going to go ahead and pour. You can
Thank you.
pass that one down.
This is actually recommended by one of our listeners, Mike.
Yeah, Mike recommended this on Facebook,
Yes,
didn't he? Yeah.
Oh, neat. Thank
So,
you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. It's kind of funny that we have a man's recommendation on an OBGYN show. The irony.
Thank you, Philip.
Yes, thank you. I want to try this.
I feel bad. I thought Philip was going to fall on his face any second there, so I'm like, let me grab the cup from him.
Aw. That's okay. That's okay. So, actually, while
Pass
she's
that one to
pouring,
Lauren.
Mitzi, tell us what really happened to your arm.
I was on a mini bike, and I knew better not to get on it. I was exhausted, but I decided to get on it anyways, and I came out of the driveway, and as I was coming out of the driveway, I felt the bike getting squirrely.
Uh-huh.
And this is where I should insert, kids, don't try this at home.
No, please no.
Because in my mind, I'm sitting there and I've got a water bottle in my left hand, and I've got the throttle in my right hand, and I'm going, okay, I got this, and bike's
So
getting
the
squirrely.
water bottle's in your brake hand.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm going, I got this. Bike's getting squirrely. I got this. I can't reach the brake. Oh no!
Oh.
Oh no!
But instead of dropping the water...
Instead of dropping the water, I hear my husband yell, "Drop the bike!"
Oh
And
my
as I
God.
looked up, there's the parked car.
Oh.
Yes. So I went flying over the handlebars into the parked car. I
my
turned my
God.
body, smacked the bumper of the car with my arm,
Ouch.
literally broke my humerus in two pieces.
Ew.
Then a splitter came off the bottom section and came out the side of the arm.
Ugh. And that's why it was bleeding
Yeah,
really bad.
it
If
was
the bone
bad.
was coming through the skin. That's disgusting.
So I stood up, and our son's friend was standing in front of us,
Ugh.
and he's 16, and I look at him, and his eyes were probably about the size of the moon. And they were massive. And then I looked down, and my arm's going, "Ah!"
Ew, gross. I'm not good with blood. I probably would have passed out. I probably would have turned white and passed out like someone we know.
Yep, somebody did pass
The
out.
other
I didn't
person that
pass
got
out.
hurt in the bike. we won't mention any names.
No, we won't mention any names.
But yeah, so basically,
Hilarious.
grab the arm, turn around to my husband, who's now right there, and I go, honey, I broke my arm. We have to go to the hospital now.
You were very calm. You were very calm about that.
Yes.
Yeah, and now I've got a lovely titanium rod in my arm.
Ugh. Yikes.
Yeah.
But she found out the other day that when she goes through the metal detector at the airport, it doesn't go off. So yay.
No,
Oh, hey, that's
It does not go off.
it doesn't go off. They were more
Very
concerned
cool.
with the sling than they were my rod.
Yeah, they were wondering if there's something smuggled in there, I guess.
Yeah, I'm
Wow.
sure.
Yeah, you look very dangerous.
Man.
I'm a terrorist, I'm telling you.
You look so scary over there.
You
In
know.
your size 0 pants. Yes, I have all my readers on. I know. Do I look smarter with these on?
You
do.
do.
Yes. Quite.
Awesome. I should wear them all the time.
Yes, you should.
All right. So to get to some questions, I would like to ask you, Christine, what made you decide to be an OBGYN of all the jobs in the world and all the different types of doctors in the world? Like, why an OBGYN?
I've had patients ask me that before, especially during the exams, you know. I'm like, my true answer is I'm a curious soul, and I love learning about our bodies.
Okay.
And it makes sense. Like, everything about it makes sense, and I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I love being there for women during their journeys from the time that they first start puberty or whatever, or have any questions up until the very end, and during the different adventures in their life, and whether they're highs or lows. Like, I love it. Not just the psychological component, obviously, but the medical component, where we get to figure stuff out, like, why is your body doing this? Why is it doing that? And it's just fun. And I like OBGYN, so obstetrics and gynecology, because not only do I get to deliver babies, but I also get to have, perform surgery. So if somebody has a problem with whatever, bleeding or whatever, I love fixing it, or at least trying to.
That's awesome.
It's fun. Yeah.
And you said you do that kind that I had, I forgot what it's called, the orthoscopic, or what is it?
Oh, laparoscopy.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was completely off.
No, it's great. You were thinking about her situation.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I'm not a surgeon.
No, it's all good.
But that's cool. So, obviously you love kids, or you wouldn't have, wanted to do this. Obviously it's it's a miracle every time one's born and it's healthy. It's got to be rewarding, right?
I love it. I think, it's amazing. Now, some say that OBGYN is pure joy, but there is some terror involved. Like if a baby's really large, or if the heart rate's not cooperating, the mommy's sick or something like that. So that's when it can be a challenge. But that's when, especially when the baby comes out, I'm like, yes, so good, so happy. Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and one thing is, I never had kids because I was terrified of that whole process. So I don't know if that's like normal. Like, are there other people like me out there that are just like terrified of this childbirth thing? And like, I love kids, I love other people's kids, but I never felt like the mommy vibe, or I wanted to have kids. Is that normal? What's wrong with me?
There's nothing wrong with you. You are beautifully and wonderfully made. Nothing. Yeah. What you're, and all the stories, and that it hurts, right? To have a baby.
It looks
Not
terrifying.
only does it hurt to have a baby, but it hurts to be pregnant. It's not comfortable.
Yes, it does.
Your whole balance is thrown off. Sometimes people have horrible nausea and vomiting. I know I did.
Yeah.
I discovered what doxylamine was, which is old-fashioned Unisom, but I had to take it because I was so sick the entire pregnancy, along with the vitamin B6. But my point is, pregnancy is a journey, and sure, we all think it's about the destination of like having that little yum, but it's hard. So you're normal in being afraid of that process. And then you're wondering, how can a baby fit out? All of those things. And that is a normal concern. And I do have some patients that are really afraid of like the actual birthing process. We talk about it. There's epidurals that can help with the pain, or different modalities if they choose to do different things. So,
Well, I have a question for all of you that have kids. Like,
Oh, geez.
where did your kids think that you had, where babies came from, basically? Like, do they have any cute stories? Have you heard any cute stories? Mitzi's laughing. Go ahead. What?
oh boy.
Well, I always promised both my kids I would never lie to them, but I know that at a certain age, they're not exactly ready for you to give them the nitty-gritty.
Yeah.
Right.
And I got lucky with my son because he never asked. He's never to this day asked me where kids come, so he must still think maybe the stork. I don't know. He's 17, so let's really hope he thinks the stork. But my daughter, she was very inquisitive, and she used to go, Mommy, where do babies come from? She'd ask me all the time. And when a mommy and a daddy love each other. When a mommy and daddy love each other. Well, she came home from school one day, and she goes, Mommy, I've got a problem. And this is when she's about, I think, kindergarten or first grade. And I go, yeah, well, what's it, babe? She goes, somebody told me that when you get stung by a bee, you can have a baby. I have to figure out how to never get stung by a bee, Mommy. Yes. So I said it, and I said, no, cute. Honey, that's not how you get a baby. Again, it's from a mommy and a daddy when they love each other very, very much. And they have to be, married and so forth. And I explained that to her. She goes, that makes sense. I didn't get the whole bee thing. That's just silly.
Aw, that's so cute.
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah, Bryson, actually, we're on our way to drum lessons one day. And he looked over, he's like, he's in the back of the car, and he says to me, Mom, so I know that, when women's bellies get big, that's the baby in there, but he's like, my question is, how did it get in there?
Uh-oh.
And I said, Bryson, this is a conversation for when you're a little bit older, because he's 10. He's 11 now, so it was this last year, but I said, let's talk about this when you're a little bit older. Okay, Mom.
Aww.
So he's good with that.
So far.
So far, and so I'm happy with that.
So far.
So we'll talk about that when he gets a little bit older.
That's great.
Yeah, I've heard some kids say they thought the baby came out of their belly button, which I thought was cute.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that is funny.
Now your son, he must know the real deal. Does he really understand this process, or he just knows mommy delivers babies?
He knows that I deliver babies, and he knows that he came from my abdomen because I showed him the little scar. Because I had to have a C-section, but the process of it all, fortunately, he hasn't gotten too detailed yet. However, so my dad's an OBGYN, and I learned in a way that was pretty interesting. So we saw dogs being together, whatever word we can use on air, and my dad grabbed me and pointed, said, "Look, putting the seed is going inside," and I said, "Oh, so this is just fertilizer, huh?" And so that's I was like, so we thought of it like that.
Yeah.
And well, I don't know, that's what he did. And so I understood that, but the mechanics of it, thank God I haven't been asked that.
I know, right?
It'll come eventually.
That's a dreaded moment. Nobody really wants to have that conversation yet with their kids because in our minds, they're always going to be our babies. And no, I'm not. My son's turning 17 this week.
Oh, wow.
And I'm looking at him and I'm like, no, you're still that little kid getting on the bus and the backpack's hitting your ankles. And, he's not 17. No.
That's so funny.
Anymore.
I was really naive when I was younger, too, because somebody had told me that you can get pregnant from the swimming pool, and I believed it. Just from swimming in the swimming pool. And I'm like, that's obviously not true. You'd have to be doing something in the pool. Yeah, to get pregnant in the pool, right.
So did you avoid swimming pools most of your childhood, Angela?
No, because I love swimming. I was just risking it, I was going to have a baby, I was going to have a baby. Whatever.
Wow.
And then I think my dad told me that if you eat a watermelon seed, that I think that, so then I was like paranoid, like, oh my God, I can't eat any fruit seeds, Can we get those seedless watermelons? Because I don't want to be pregnant. So...
I can just see Angela running around as a little kid. No, watermelon.
Don't eat the seeds. And I love watermelon, so.
Yeah.
I was going to ask some questions, too, that I guess I believed when I was younger, too, about sleeping in a bra. They were like, oh, if you sleep in a bra, then, you'll stay perky. Your boobs won't sag. Is that true?
Not necessarily. I mean,
Darn
it depends on, how many children one has. It depends, and I mean the suspensory ligaments are what keep your breast up, right? And nice. And over time, gravity hits our activities. Like if we go running or do a lot of
jumping up and down.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's when your breasts do take a hit. However, it is important to have great support. It's important to wear properly fitted bras. Whether it's when you're doing activities or not, like go get fitted at a department store or wherever, and then that way you're sure what you're wearing.
Yeah, I'm actually small, but if I'm like jogging and I don't have good support, that hurts. So I can imagine if you actually had big boobs, that would really hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Just jogging around the block. Yeah,
it does.
So the fact that I went and bought a whole bunch of underwire bras to sleep in was kind of silly then, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
That's too funny.
So I had read somewhere that people think that underwire bras can cause cancer. Is that true? Does it press on something or? Okay.
No. I mean, people like to think of a lot of different things causing cancer, right? But we don't have any good conclusive evidence that suggests that. So I like my underwire bras.
I do too.
Yeah.
And I like them to go up and together.
Yeah.
I need all the cleavage I can get because I was not born with cleavage, that's for sure. So another thing that I had read too, is breast cancer genetic, or is it, if someone in my family has breast cancer, should I be panicking like, oh, do I need to go get mammograms or?
That's a great question. 1 in 8 women have breast cancer, and it's a big number, and there are a lot of different reasons that one can get that. Meaning genetics. Yes, it is genetics. However, some women aren't genetically predisposed and they get it. Right? Like, for example, when I have patients come in who have family members that had breast cancer, I like to know who had it what age, how many people had it, etc., to figure out whether they need to get BRCA tested. Right?
What is that?
It's the BRCA gene, the breast cancer gene. And also, I like knowing whether they had ovarian cancer as well, because those two seem to go together sometimes. So now, does that mean that if you don't have BRCA and you have a strong family history, that you can just forget about it? It's not going to happen? No. You still need to have more intensive screening. So instead of just the annual mammogram, for example, if you do have a strong family history, it's typically recommended to get, in addition to the mammogram, the diagnostic mammogram, in addition to that, getting an MRI. However, that depends on a person's family history, so I don't want to give you, a recommendation, a broad recommendation, but it is, you do tend to, you can find it within families. However, like if we don't have a family history, that doesn't mean we're immune. I would, I recommend mammograms for everyone over the age of 40,
Yeah, I've been getting them for a while.
Good.
And I don't know if my sister Lisa ever got one, but I'm going to call her out because she would not get one because she was afraid it would be painful. I'm like, it's like nothing. I'm like, you've had 2 kids. Like a mammogram is nothing compared to having 2 babies. I can assure you. I just know. I don't hear anybody screaming down the hall from mammograms. So if you guys are afraid to get a mammogram because you think it hurts, don't be afraid. It is not that big of a deal.
It really isn't. It doesn't hurt.
And I would rather know than be sorry later because I didn't have it done.
I agree. I'd definitely rather have it done. I grip my teeth. Sometimes I'm one who I don't scream down the hall, but it is painful to me, but I'm a big baby. But it does, yes, it's so worth getting that temporary squeeze that some people say may hurt, some say it doesn't, to find out. Mammograms are awesome because they can detect things a lot earlier than we can feel.
Yeah, and early detection is the key.
Yeah.
And that's
absolutely
pretty much with everything.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly at the dermatologist, speaking of, I'm constantly getting checked because early detection is the key for skin cancer too. And cancers just seem to run in my family. So, if there's a doctor I need to go to, I'm on it.
Good.
Because, I'm so worried about it. Yeah. So.
Well, that's great.
Being a woman in today's world, is there something we really should be asking that most of your patients aren't asking you?
Oh, patients are awesome. I think they ask, well, what do you mean about breast cancer? Or
in general? Because I know a lot of women nowadays were kind of shy, and especially like our generation, we were taught that you have to be quiet and you keep things to yourself. Is there something we really should be asking more that we're not asking?
Well, typically, if you go just for an annual preventative exam, you will be asked the questions that we need to know as your doctor. But I like to tell people, just think, what bothers you? Tell me if you have any concerns whatsoever, because that's what we're here for, you know? And what may bother you or may be more important to you may be different from another person.
Oh, very true, very true.
So yeah, usually though, don't feel like it's a job to go in. We can ask those questions that are needed. Yeah.
So what would be probably your number one question that's asked?
Number one question that is asked by patients out of curiosity?
Yeah, either patients or friends, or what's the one thing that you're always like, okay, here I go again, and you're describing the one thing. Yeah. Is there one thing that, or a couple of things?
I get asked a lot of questions that aren't PG.
Okay.
But I can tell you, a lot, and that makes
I asked her some at dinner that first night I met her, and I was like, oh, she's awesome. I'm like, I love this. She'll be honest with me. So.
Well, it's so cool. It's your body, you know. I don't look at things in a way of perversion or whatever. it's just fascinating.
Yes,
and so I love it when people have questions that they're curious about, and if they just want to genuinely know why or genuinely know how and make it better or not, So, but a question that I do get asked, that's a G-rated question is, when should someone start getting an annual exam? Okay. When should someone start going to the doctor? And typically the age is 21 when somebody needs to have a pap smear. However, that's typically not the first time I see people. I may see people for pain, for menstrual concerns, for birth control, and definitely birth control. I saw quite a few people who are less than that age for birth control counseling today, or for infections, trying to make sure you know, you don't have any. So we're help you with that.
Things come up.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, no, I had gone, I think the first time I went to a doctor, you know, for a lady doctor, was for just birth control stuff, you know. But I mean, things come up. That's usually, you know, we're women and things come up, so we gotta go.
Absolutely.
Try to work through it. But
I was actually wondering that today because Kira had a physical, and I'm like, what age do I need to start taking her? Because now, you know, she has hers, and I'm like, oh, she's gonna kill me for that. Oops. But I started wondering, you know, should I take her in at 13? Is it time for her? And
No.
okay.
I mean, not unless she has a problem. Like if if things are too heavy, if she's missing school, if she has a lot of pain, if you find that her life is negatively affected by it, or if yours is.
Does that count coming down the stairs in hysterical tears?
Oh yeah. Then keep track of it. I don't think she will keep track of it, but you should keep track of it and figure out the pattern so it can be determined whether it's hormonal or not.
Okay.
So that can be assisted. Yeah.
All right.
that's good. That is good to know. So, I did have a question about implants. Is it true that it's hard to detect if there's any lumps or cancer or anything under it?
So there are different ways of placing implants. You can place them above the muscle or below the muscle, and that's up to the plastic surgeon and the woman's breast and stuff like that, you know, as far as how that is done. After that is done, it's really advisable that you perform breast exams to know your breast. Having breast implants does not necessarily increase one's risk at all for breast cancer. You just need to know your breast and then get the regular screening mammograms and stuff. So,
Right.
yeah.
And Lauren, do you have any questions?
I think I asked my one question that I had.
I kind of wanted to know what's the oldest person, I guess, to have a baby is, because I have a friend that's she's 47 and she's trying to conceive, but I know she's having issues and she's you know, having to get go through I guess what is it, an egg donor system. But I guess what's the oldest age of a person that you know of, or your patients, who knows?
Yeah, so I actually took care of a 52-year-old person, a 52-year-old woman recently. Who's lovely, who used donor eggs, so she had donor eggs. But typically after a certain age, usually 42, 43, donor eggs are what's recommended, because donor eggs don't have as high of a risk of having chromosomal abnormalities and stuff. So what we mean by donor eggs is they're not the woman's eggs themselves. Like, she's not carrying her own, you know, her own egg was not fertilized by the male. Make sense?
Right.
So
it's healthy.
Well,
healthy egg,
hopefully it has a lower risk of having Down syndrome, trisomy 13, 18, things like that, chromosomal problems. So, yeah.
So my last question for you, and you might enjoy this one. My husband won't. So I want to know, can guys really have like the sympathy pains for pregnancy or for PMS? Because I find that, like, I'm not getting the ups and downs hormonally anymore. He is. Philip over there that's videoing.
Wow.
And he actually tells me when I'm gonna start. He literally says,
loves you,
"Hey."
Philip.
And I was like, what? How do you know? And I mean, eventually I'll start getting the
Interesting.
cramps and pains, but he knows, and he gets super emotional, and it is just hilarious. I'm like, how is this happening?
That's called a true marriage. That's all that is.
We're in sync, honey. We're in sync. So
cute.
is
guys are
it
in
true?
sync.
I mean,
You know, there isn't. What I do know is that sometimes with postpartum depression, men can get that.
Really?
Yes. However, as far as do men get PMS, I mean, sure, we all like to say that, but I don't take care of men, but I don't, you know, so as far as like the most recent data on that, like I haven't seen a study, but I get asked a lot of fun questions that I asked the librarian to find for me. You know what I mean? Like, she's awesome. But that there's not any good stuff that I have come across. Maybe there is, but like nothing that I found that says a man can cycle kind of. Maybe he's anticipating your. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you guys have been together for a while.
Yeah,
so
we were together.
maybe,
How many years? 19 years, something like that.
That's beautiful.
Our what is it? 16th anniversary is coming up.
That's awesome.
Soon, next month.
Congrats.
Yeah, thanks. So I don't know what the deal is. It's the weirdest thing.
That's a beautiful
You know?
thing. I think that's
Aw,
awesome. I
it's
do.
beautiful, honey.
I do. I think it's great.
It's beautiful. But I've heard of people that are pregnant that, like, you know, the guys are feeling these pains, and I'm like, is this for real?
Well, guys are they won't. Well, maybe they don't complain to me about it because I'm listening to their significant other who's
Right.
pregnant. You know,
And they don't wanna look
who's
wimpy.
miserable. Maybe. Yeah. I don't hear the guys complain of pain, but I'm not their doctor.
That's so funny.
Yeah, but they do like to
Maybe they
go
need a
on
therapist.
craving hunts. You know, like if they all want hot fudge sundaes, they definitely.
Maybe they use it as an excuse to eat the hot fudge sundaes and the French fries and all the crazy foods together.
And the pickles and ice cream.
And the pickles and ice cream.
Yes.
That sounds disgusting, but you know, I do like sweet and salty, so you know.
Hey.
When I was pregnant, I craved Cheetos and peanut butter.
What?
The whole day. I would take the Cheetos and right in the peanut butter and eat them. It was so good.
What? That is crazy. I'm gonna have to try that because I love Cheetos.
Wow.
So that's hysterical. That's awesome. Well, I know your son's been peeking in the door and he's ready to go home. So,
Oh, sorry.
Anyway, so thank you so much for being here and clearing
Yes,
some
thank
fun
you.
stuff up. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Cheers,
Thank you so
everybody.
much. Cheers.
All right, hit the mic, Phil. Sorry.
I think I'm going to try to ride the mini bike.
Don't touch that mic.
Thank you.
Nice. And you're not
I'm
going
going to ride the
shopping.
mini bike home.
No,
no,
you are
no,
not. No, Mitzi's never getting on that damn thing. We're selling it.
We are selling that. Yes.